Okay, we're going to look today at the Drive on Metz, September 1944. This was a small war game published by Jim Dunnigan in 1980, and I have included where the rules are available. It was initially published as part of the Complete War Games Handbook to show how war games were created. And it's a pretty simple game, but it's kind of fun. It's a two-player game, and it recreates George S. Patton's attempt to seize the key city of Metz and get across the Moselle River before retreating Germans could form an effective defense. The American forces, comprised of 3 divisions of the 20th Corps, had just completed an epic pursuit across France after the Allied breakout at Normandy. The exhausted forces, however, were at the end of their supply line, and they barely had enough resources left for this one last push. If they'd been able to get across the Moselle River quickly, they would have compromised the entire German West Wall defenses, and this would have enabled Patton to make an attempt at crossing the Rhine before the end of 44, which may have ended the war months earlier. The defending German forces were 4 divisions of the 82nd Corps of the German First Army, and they were combined hastily together and also included some fresh units from the German interior and remnants of the units that Patton had been pursuing across France. Many of the German units were entrenched in a series of fortified bunkers throughout the region. The main battle lasted about a week, but the city wouldn't fall until the 22nd of November, and the last of the German fortifications didn't capitulate until mid-December. Although the battle resulted in defeat for the German forces, it did serve its intended purpose of halting the U.S. advance for 3 months, enabling the retreating German forces to make an organized withdrawal to the Saar River and to organize their defenses. The level of casualties on both sides was unknown but fairly high. So how to play the game? Looking over the map, the scale of the map is 1 to 250,000, or one hexagon being about 4 kilometers across. Each game turn represents 1 day of real time, and each unit represents approximately 3,000 to 4,000 soldiers and their equipment. The game has a series of charts and tables, including a CRT, combat results table, a TEC, or a terrain effects chart, a turn record track, and a victory point track. And this game illustrates a lot of the basics of most war games. The playing pieces have numbers and symbols on them, which represent the strength and type of the unit simulated by the particular piece, as well as its movement. Units are either infantry, which is foot soldiers, armored, those are the German panzers, or armored infantry, which are the German panzer grenadiers. Combat strength measures a unit's value in the battles as expressed in strength points. Higher numbers are better. Movement allowance determines how far the unit can move, expressed in movement points. Again, higher means you can move faster or further. And the general sequence of play is an I go, you go situation. Each turn is divided into parts or phases that are performed in the exact order. All actions in one phase are finished before the actions in the next phase begin. And the first 3 phases constitute the American player turn, followed by 3 phases, which are the German player turn. This repeats itself 7 times to complete a whole game. The American player turn, phase 1, is the Moselle victory point phase. The American player checks to see if they have any units on the east side of the Moselle River and scores 1 victory point for each of them. The American movement phase then occurs, and the American player may move their units. They may move as many or few as they wish, one after another, within the limitations of the rules of movement. This is followed by the American combat phase. The American player may attack adjacent enemy units, and they may perform these attacks in any order that they wish, applying the results immediately after each attack is made. The German player then repeats the movement phase and the combat phase. There's then a sixth phase, which is a victory point phase for the Germans. The German player checks to see if any American units are east of the Moselle River and scores 1 victory point if there are none. There's then a housekeeping phase where the game turn marker is advanced. If the game is in the last turn, then a winner is determined. To set up the game, place the German units first. The 106th Panzer Brigade is set up on the game turn track to arrive as a reinforcement on turn 2, and the other 10 German units are set up on a map as indicated by the hex number of the individual unit's top left corner. Then the American player sets up, placing the 8 American units along the west edge of the map into groups as indicated on the individual units, as shown in the game setup illustration. and these units will interplay as reinforcements during the American movement phase on game turn 1. Place the game turn marker on the one box of the game turn record track, and place each player's victory point marker in the matching box along the left side of the victory point track. The American player can then begin the game, and you follow the sequence of play until the 7th game turn is completed. To win the game, both players are fighting for victory points. You win by having more victory points than your opponent. Americans get 1 victory point for each unit that begins the American movement phase on the east side of the Moselle. They get 5 victory points for an American unit being the last unit to enter or pass through Thionville, that's hex 0701. 20 victory points for an American unit being the last unit to enter or pass through Metz, hex 0807. 5 victory points for each unit to exit the east side of the map before the end of the game. The German get victory points. They get 10 victory points for each unit to exit the west edge of the map by the end of the game. They get 7 victory points for each unit of the 3rd Panzer Grenadier or 17th SS Panzer Grenadier divisions to exit the east or south edge of the map by the end of the game. The number of victory points varies according to game turn in which the unit is exited. If the unit exits on turn 1, 7 points are obtained. On turn 2, 6 points, and this is shown on the game turn record track. They gain 1 victory point at the end of each German combat phase if there are no units east of the Moselle. The Germans also get 1 victory point for each U.S. combat strength point eliminated during the play. Each turn, you make adjustments in the victory point markers on the track. And like I say, at the end of the game, you compare the victory point scores. If one side has 5 or more points than the other, then it's won a marginal victory. If it's 10 points, a substantial victory. 15 points is a decisive victory. If neither side is more than 4 points ahead of the other, the game is a draw. Okay, how do you move around? Each unit has a movement allowance number printed on it, which represents the basic number of hexes that they can move during a single movement phase. Units move one at a time, hex by hex, in any direction or combination of directions that the player desires. And a unit can never exceed its movement allowance. That is, during its movement phase, each unit may move as far as its movement allowance permits. Each unit spends 1 or more movement points of its total allowance for each hex that it enters, and individual units may move less than their movement allowance. You have to spend sometimes more than 1 movement point to traverse certain types of terrain. The basic cost to enter a clear hex is 2 movement points, but the basic cost to enter some other terrain hexes is higher. And if you look on the terrain effects chart on the player aid sheet, you can see how much it costs to enter specific types of terrain. If a unit does not have sufficient movement points to enter a hex, it can't do so. And a hex containing more than 1 type of terrain is entered at the highest of the costs of the 2 types of terrain that are in that hex. Now, when a unit enters a hex through a road, it pays only the cost for moving 1 hex along that road, regardless of whatever terrain that hex is. Conversely, a road has absolutely no effect on movement if the hex is entered through a non-road hex side. In other words, to receive this movement benefit, the unit must be moving along a connected road hex from one hex to the other. At the end of the movement, only 1 unit is allowed in a hex, but units can pass through friendly units. They can't pass through enemy units, however. So, when a player's unit enters a hex adjacent to an enemy unit, it has to stop. Now, these adjacent hexes are also called the enemy unit's zone of control. Units that begin their movement phase next to an adjacent enemy unit, that is, in its zone of control, cannot leave that zone of control. In fact, the only way that a unit can leave an enemy zone of control is to be forced to retreat due to combat. Units are free to leave the map. However, if they do leave the map, they can't return. They cannot leave the map due to combat, and if a unit is forced to leave the map by combat, that unit is considered eliminated rather than just moving off the map voluntarily. In addition to the forces with which you start the game, both players receive units during the movement phase of specific game turns. When reinforcements arrive on the map, they behave identically to units already on the map. The arrival into the proper hex costs the reinforcing units the appropriate number of movement points for that terrain type. If entering on a road, it's assumed they're entering the map through the road hex. And units are free to participate in movement and combat when they arrive on the map. If for some reason a unit's blocked from entering the map, they arrive on the closest hex that would be legal for them to play on. So in other words, an enemy can't completely block a unit from coming on the map. Entry of reinforcements may be delayed for as long as the owning player wishes, and if they desire, they can hold them back for another turn. Each unit has a combat strength value printed on it that represents its basic power to attack and defend itself. During friendly combat phases, each unit participates in an attack against an adjacent hex that's occupied by an enemy unit. They then refer to the combat results table, they go through the procedures and do what the combat results table, and combat's resolved. A unit's never forced to attack. Attacking is totally voluntary. In a given combat phase, some of the eligible units may attack and others may not. In fact, a player may totally pass up the chance to make any attacks during combat phase if they wish. And only one enemy-occupied hex may be the object of a given battle, even if the attacking unit's adjacent to several enemy units. No unit may participate in more than one battle per friendly combat phase, and no unit may be the object of more than one battle per enemy combat phase. So you can't have a bunch of units just being a wolf pack on another unit. You have to add them all together. The attack results in a battle that consists of the comparison of the strength of a specific attacking force with that of a specific defending force. It's resolved by the throw of a die on a combat results table, and the result of the battle may affect either the attacker or the defender. To do this, the attacking player totals up the combat strength of all the units that are involved in a given attack, and subtracts from the total the combat strength of the enemy units being attacked. And the resulting number is called the combat differential. You then look at the column heading on the combat results table, the CRT, that corresponds to the combat differential. Then you look at the terrain effects chart and see if the column of combat resolution needs to be shifted because of the terrain that the defending unit is in. Now, note that's the defending unit. And if more than one type of terrain exists on that hex, the attacker has to go with the one that's the worst for them. The attacking player then rolls a dice and cross-indexes the result of that battle's final column and reads the result. And that result is applied immediately before going on to another battle. The calculated combat differential is always determined to represent a specific column of results on the combat results table. And if the combat differential is in an attack is higher or lower than the highest or lowest shown on the table, you simply treat it as the highest or lowest column available. Different results that can happen. NE means no effect, nothing happens. DR means the defender retreats, and so the defending force is forced to move one hex away from the attacking unit by the defending player. The attacking player may then advance after combat one of his attacking units into that defender's vacated hex. A DR2 means the defender retreats 2 hexes. An AR means attacker retreats. This is the same as a defender retreating, except the attacker in the combat has to retreat. And the defending unit may not advance after combat in this case. Now, when a unit's retreated, it may retreat only if it does not have to enter a hex containing another unit, either an enemy or a friendly, or enter the zone of control of an enemy unit. If it's forced to retreat into the zone of control of an enemy unit or up against a friendly unit, that attacked unit is eliminated from the game. And retreating units may not cross rivers, even across connected road hex sizes when retreating. So basically you can't retreat across a bridge. Okay, that's kind of the rules. They're real simple. Again, this is made to introduce people to wargaming a little bit. Now let's show a playthrough on this. Okay, let's run through a game. It doesn't take very long to play this game, so the American player will go first, and I'm going to, since the northern group here, 1, 2, they can't go. These cost 4 to cross, so they're stuck there. This guy's going to go 1, 2, 3, and now he is in the combat zone there. 10. I want to get to this guy, can I? 1 and 4 is 5. We'll go right down there, and then this guy with the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The 10 unit, 1, 2, 3, will go there, and then the 7 unit, I'm going to go ahead and attack across the river. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll move this 5 unit. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's all the. Oh, 4. You can only go 4. 4. Okay. That's it for the American move. Like I said, this is a fast game. Nothing here. Here they have a 4 to 1, so there's a combat differential of 3. I'm going to go ahead and get these up here so we can see them. But the defender's in forest, so that shifts it by 2 columns. 1, 2, so plus 0. We roll and get American rolls a 4. So at a plus 0, 4, that's an attacker retreat. Okay, here we have a plus 9. But again, we shift 2, so it's a plus 4, plus 5. We get a 1. Okay. Defender retreats 2. 1, 2. I'm going to move in. I think with the Americans, just pushing as hard as you can helps them out quite a bit. Okay, 5 to 1, so that's a plus 4. However, since they're in a fortified square, it's going to move it by 3 columns. So plus 3, 1, 2, 3. It's a minus 1. And we get a 2. No effect. Okay. Here we have a 10. So that's 10 or greater. And 3, I'm sorry, that's 10 minus 3 is 7. But we shift it by 3, so it's 3 columns, 1, 2, 3. It's a plus 1, and we get a 1. Defender retreats. Okay, that's kind of good. We've pushed that unit out, and we are going to come into this hex here. Finally, down here, we're going across a river, and there's a plus 3, or a 3-column shift there. 7 to 2 is a 5. 1, 2, 3, so it's a 0. We roll a 3, no effect. Okay. The Germans will get to go. And I am going to play this. Let's see here. We are going to move. Germans don't have a lot to do in this. I'm going to go ahead and move into the forest here. I will move this unit here. I'll keep that unit there. Those guys can't move. Those guys can't move. Okay. And then this guy, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to keep him right here right now. And we're going to move. We're going to keep. Nope, we're going to move him. Reason, well, he's got the river. So if he gets pushed back against the river, he's going to be wiped out. So. And that's it. Now we go ahead and look at our points, and the only point in this is going to be, let's see, it's the 1 point if there are no U.S. units on the east side of the Moselle River, which if you can see the river going through here, there are no units, so the Germans will get 1 point. Okay, we move to round 2, and we're going to place that German unit in place, the reinforcement. There's just 1 reinforcement in this game, which is kind of strange, but okay. Oh, and the Germans weren't going to attack anywhere, but we'll stick them against those guys. Okay. We just have 2 units moving. Now, I've got to make sure they have a way to get away. I'm going to move this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's going to try to help the north a little bit. Okay. And so now we're going to go ahead and roll for combats. So 4 to 1 is a differential of 3. So it's a 0 since it's in the woods, and that's a 3. No effect. Okay. We have a 4 to 1, a 3, 0, same thing, and we roll a 2, no effect. Okay, 7 to 2 is a differential of 5, and they're in the woods, so 1, 2, so it's a plus 1 column, and a 6 on the plus 1 column is an attacker retreat. Okay. Now the German unit cannot move into because it's a defender, it can't move into that retreated hex. Okay. 5 to 1. It's a plus 4, but it's going to shift by 3 columns since the Germans are in a fortress. So it's a 0 is 3. Attacker retreats. Okay. And I think a lot of people would consider this game kind of boring because not much happens. It's a good game to learn the defensive stuff, though, I think, and that kind of helps. Not a lot of replay value, but you can get 4 or 5 plays out of it and have a good time, especially if you're the Americans. 5 to 3 is a differential of 2, and that's a 2, and that was actually a differential of 2. It's a 0 because of the forest defensive part. So that's a 2, no effect. He's going to be attacking across the river and into a fortified hex. So we go with the strongest, which is a 3. Either way, it's a 3. So a difference of 3 minus 1, a 1. No effect. And finally, a 7 to 2. They're in a rough terrain, so it's only a shift of 1. Oh, it's across the river, so it's a shift of 3 again. That's a 7 minus 2 is 5. Plus 1, okay? Plus 1, and we roll a 3. No effect. And unless you can push these river units back, you don't really lose a lot of units in this game. Okay, Germans get to go. What are we going to do here? We could try to hold them back. Let's see. They're not outnumbered yet. I'm going to keep this guy down here in kind of a reserve status. Actually, not. I'm going to move. Let's live big. I'm going to move the Panzer unit off the map. And I'm going to move him down here. And so for that, nope, we're not going to do that. Hold on. Let's go back. Before I do that, I'm not playing very well here. Let's move this guy off the map because he's not doing anything. And for removing him from the map on turn 2, I get 6 points. So I'll take the 6 of the German. And then we will 1, 4. I can't move into this. I was trying to move into that fortress, but that's okay. We're good here. I'm going to hold my place there. Everybody's pretty pinned down. Okay, that's it for the German turn. Gets a point again for keeping the U.S. West of the river. We go to turn 3. We will move 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll move him here. And we are going to continue to try to attack. Okay, yeah, that's about all we can do. Okay, 4 to 1. Advantage of 3, or differential of 3, excuse me. And we roll a 4. And it's fought as a 0. Attacker retreats. Okay. And then we're going to try here. We have a differential. It's going to be a 0 again. A 5. Attacker retreats. 7 to 2 is a differential of 5. So that's going to come out as a 1 because of the forest. And a 1. Okay. Defender retreats. I'm going to push those guys. Okay. We have a 10 to 1. So a differential of 9. And we're going to shift it 3 columns because they're in a fortress. The Germans are. So that's a +2, +3, and it's a 4. No effect. 5 and 3. Differential of 2. Differential of 2 there. And he's in a woods, so 0. Sorry, I just had a brain lapse there. Defender retreats. Okay, he's going to have to retreat here. We're going to let that guy move, however. Now, if he was pinned against the river, it would have been a little different, but he's okay. And 5 to 2 here is a 3 differential. -1 is going to be the column, and it's an attacker retreats. And then 7 to 2 here is a differential of 5. And it's a shift of 3, 0. And we rolled a 3, so no effect on combat. Okay, that's it for the American turn. The Germans are going to go here. Going to stay put there. Keep them in reserve. I'm going to go here. Keep them in the woods. Everybody else, I think, is pretty much stuck. Oh, yeah, that guy's stuck too, so. Okay. German turn gets another victory point. And we go to turn 4. Okay, turn 4. Fatal mistake up here. We were in the woods, and now, look at this. Look where we're at. So, 4-1. It's not going to be terribly different, but this is going to be a differential now of 3. And we stay with that because it's open terrain. So, 2 defender retreats. We'll just retreat right back here. Let's just do it here. That sounds like a good place. Okay, 4-1. Differential of 3. So it's a 0 and a 1. Defender retreats. Okay, move back. I'll move into that. 7-2. Differential of 5. And it's a 2. Differential, so 1. He'll push back here. 5 and 10 to 1. That's going to be a 9. And we move it 3 columns because of the fortress. +2 +3, 2. Going to move back, and the Germans are going to move in. We're going to go, okay, this is going to be interesting here. Now, this is how you can eliminate a unit if it does right. If these guys are forced back, they're going to be eliminated. So, differential of 2. And since they're in clear terrain, they don't get a column shift. So, it's a +2 +3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, DR. So, with a defender retreat, this unit is eliminated. I can get rid of this guy. And he moves in. Actually, yeah, I'm going to move in there. And down here, 7-2. Differential of 5. -3, 1, 2, 3 is a +0. 4. And a 4 is an attacker retreat. Okay. That's the end of the American turn. What are we going to do as the German? I think I'm going to stay put again. We'll see what happens. Okay. That's going to be still no units that are, no American units are east of the Moselle. So German gets another point, puts them at 10 points. And let's see, we had some eliminated. Okay, eliminated units don't matter for the points for the American player. So, okay, now we're going to the next turn. That was turn 5, right? I think so. Hopefully. Okay. Americans will go. Americans. 1, 2. We will go there. And our 7-10. Okay. Okay, 4-1. That's a difference of 3. Again, it's going to come out of 0, and we get a 1. Defender retreats. Can't move into that. We have to move into that hex. Okay, and then a 4-1. That's another 0, and a 2. No effect. 7-2. That's a difference of 5. No column shifts. And we get a 1. Defender retreats 2. 1. And if they were pinned against that river, they would be eliminated. But I'm going to say they can go down here. He's going to move into this hex. And we got a 5, 10, 15. That's a 10 or better to 1. So yeah, 10 or better with a 3-column shift. 1, 2, 3, +4, +5. And a 1. Things have gone bad for the Germans here. Again, we have an elimination because this guy moves into zones of control of everybody. So he is now removed from play. Okay, a 5-2 is a +3, but we're shifting. That's a -1 column. 1, no effect. And a 7-2 is a 5 with a 3-column shift. It's a 0. It's a 3, no effect on combat. Okay. Germans got to figure out what to do here. Now, I could try to move across the river, but I would have less defensive capability. So I'm going to stay on that side of the river. And I'm going to move this guy across the river. And so he can defend. Hopefully they won't get pushed back. And again, we have no unit that's east of the Moselle. So this gives the Germans 11 points. We'll try to push here. We'll push here. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to push with those guys. And those guys here. Okay. American turn. Did I move this? I don't think I did. Okay. We'll move it to 6. 4 to 1. Okay, that's a 0 again. And it's a 3 at 0. No effect. 4 to 1. 0 at 3. 6. Attacker retreats. Okay, we've got 7 and 5. So 7 and 5 is going to be a 9, but because it's across the river, we move it 3 column shift. So +2 +3, and we get a 4. No effect. Okay. This guy's in kind of a bad situation here. 5 and 10. 10 to 2 is a 8. Again, we shift it by 3. 1, 2, 3, +2 +3, and a 2. Defender retreats. Okay, that means this guy can move across the river. Things have changed a little bit. 5 to 2 with a 3 column shift is a 3 with a 1, 2, 3 column shift is a -1. 5 attacker retreats, same thing. Actually, it's a 0. 5 attacker retreats. Okay. Germans, let's see here. He could try to move around him. Maybe that's what we ought to try to do. So as a German unit, I'm going to stay put here. I'm realizing that I'm a little bit open. 1, 2, 2, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's about all the further I can go. And that's the end of the turn. And we get 1 point for being east of the Moselle for the American player. So we'll put that there. Okay, last turn of the game. 1, 2. Can't really move that far. Okay, we'll just stay with those guys. Move this guy here, move this guy here. So we've got 7 and 5 is going to be 12 to 3, difference of 9, shift it 3 columns, 1, 2, 3, +2 +3, and they get a 6. So it's an attacker retreat. Now, if they would have got a, let's see, was that a, if they would have got a 1, 2, or 3, they would have pushed this guy off, and they would have been able to move another unit east and eliminate another German group. Okay, we got a, I don't know what this guy's doing down here. I put him in a bad spot. Oh, well. 5 to, let's go 5 to 1. Try to eliminate him at least. Oh, there's a river in the way. Oh, I forgot about this little Ciel River. So 5 to 1 is a difference of 4, but we've got a 3 column shift. That's a 0, 5, attacker retreats. Oh, we have nobody east of the river, and he got pushed out of the Moselle. Oh, he got pushed out of Metz by that. So that's going to, that would have been a big points. He would have had 20 points for owning Metz, but now he's been pushed out. So that was a mistake. He should have probably just stayed and not attacked. Okay. 5 to 2, difference of 3, 3 column shift is -1, 2, no effect, and a 7 to 2, difference of 5, 3 column shift is 0, and that's a 3, no effect. Okay, German makes their last turn, and they're going to move right there into Metz. And that is going to be game. I could move this guy here just for fun, but okay, that's game. Now, we figure out any more points. And the U.S. would have won that if they would have just stayed put in Metz, but unfortunately, I made the decision to attack. And like I say, there are a few little fun things about this game that I kind of like. It's kind of got some things. Okay, no points for the U.S. And then they get a point for the... Actually, we went through... The Germans get one more point. So the Germans won 12-1. They were able to pull that off. So, like I say, it's kind of a fun little game. There is actually some strategy to it. I don't know if you could get a lot of plays out of it, but it's kind of just useful for learning how to play. And it's pretty typical of a lot of Jim Dunnigan designs. If you like Jim Dunnigan stuff, you'll be fine with this game. Anyway, that's all I got this week. Again, thanks a lot for watching these. I really appreciate it, and I'll keep trying to put them out. Going to be doing a lot of Texas Revolution stuff in the next few weeks, and then I'm going to follow that with Napoleon's Last Battles, the big SPI, and I'm going to spend some time with that game. Then probably some American Indian Wars, go on into American Revolution after that. So look forward to pulling out more videos. If you have any comments, let me know down below. I really appreciate it, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.